Hello, this is Pastor Roland. Welcome to Talk to a Pastor Radio. Let's begin by taking a call. Caleb is calling from Houston, Texas. Let's listen to the call.
Hi, my name is Caleb. I'm calling in from Houston, Texas. I just kind of had a bit of a question for you. I'm sort of having difficulty sticking with the plan that God wants me to live. I'm constantly falling back in and out again on God's plan and continuously falling back into the old habits, and I'm just having a lot of difficulty staying with where I need to be. And I just want to know if you had any info or any insight that could kind of help me push myself back into the right path and stay there.
Thank you, Caleb. Good question. A lot of us would like to do what we know is right. I think that's what you mean, will of God. God wants us to be honest and fair and brave and kind and have Him in our thoughts, acknowledge Him, and like that, okay? And do the right thing. Live the good life. We know that. And perhaps He has some special plan for us. We'd like to know what it is. But we keep messing up. We keep messing up. In other words, we don't want to get angry. We don't want to become resentful. We don't want to have harsh words for our partner or our children. We want to be patient. But we keep messing up. Mostly by what? Getting angry, getting resentful. And we feel like we should be doing more. More studying, more reading the Bible, things like this. So let's talk about it. Okay. First of all, what I want to say is that I don't know how old you are. You sound like a young man. When we're young, God doesn't require a lot of us usually. When we're children, all He requires is that we live and grow and learn and enjoy, discover His wonderful universe. And He would like for us not to get angry at our mom and our dad, and not to be angry with our brothers and sisters, that sort of thing. And as we get older, we become teenagers, and then, young adults, college age. He wants us to be fair with people, and not to resent people, not to be angry, not to hate them, not to hate people. And He wants us not to cheat or lie or steal. He wants us to kind of be, like the Boy Scout motto, you see, honest, fair, brave, and kind. That's what He requires, as much as we can. Beyond that, okay, and if you can do a kindness for someone, then that would be nice, okay? You can't always, but if you can, then that would be nice. So that's what He requires of us when we're young. Now, so let me just stop right there. You're not required to move mountains or do great, stupendous things. You're not required to memorize all the verses in the Bible or spend hours and hours studying religious things. He doesn't require that. Okay? He wants you to do what is appropriate for your time in life. So if you're a young person, well, then, especially if you're a man, He wants you to learn a trade, okay, become established in business, maybe even start your own business. Become established, okay? Then you meet someone and then have a family, raise children, okay? Which is very important. That'll be your next thing, okay? And then marriage, okay? I talk a lot about marriage. I've written books on it. In marriage, you learn to be unselfish. You work out the differences between men and women. You learn to be unselfish. Okay, that's what marriage is for, and to bring children into the world. Okay. Now, what does He have in mind for us when we're well? Then later He may have something in mind for you, like he did for Moses. But remember, Moses wasn't ready for God to use him until Moses was 80 years old. From age 40 to age 80, Moses was a sheep herder, and it wasn't until Moses was 80 years old that God was ready to use him. Okay. So just remember that. Don't be impatient. Now, the next thing, which is probably the main topic, is that we mess up. We become angry, or we have some habit that we don't like, that we don't think is the right habit, or we do something naughty. We're tempted to do something naughty, and we do something naughty, or some habit that we don't like, and then what happens is we struggle with it. Okay, so here's what you do. Perhaps you've learned that struggling with your issues doesn't help. In fact, it actually gives them power. It makes them stronger. The more you struggle with it, the stronger they get. So what's left? Well, the opposite would be giving in. But that's not the answer either. Giving in is not the answer. And indulging missed errors and naughty things, that's not the answer either. So either extreme, struggling and then becoming frustrated, see, and it becomes stronger. And then when it becomes stronger and you become frustrated, then finally a lot of people will give in. They'll say, what's the use struggling with it? Then they just go ahead and do it, but then what? Then they feel bad. Then they struggle again, and then they feel bad, see, over and over again. People can do that for years. So here's the answer. Very simple. Okay, number one, don't resent it. Don't resent your issue. Don't resent yourself. Don't resent your weakness. Don't become disgusted at yourself. See, just learn to stand back and watch it. Let's say, I'm just going to make something up. Let's say your issue is eating way too much chocolate. Okay? And then you struggle with it. See, and you go on the wagon for a while, but then it gets stronger and stronger, and then finally you give in and, and binge on chocolate, and then you feel bad and guilty, and then the whole thing repeats itself. So now what you do is don't resent the chocolate. Don't resent yourself. Don't resent your weakness. Don't resent the fact that you haven't been able to overcome it. Okay? Don't resent anything. Just what? Just stand back. Take a mental step back and observe it. Okay? And if you're eating the chocolate, then just see yourself eating the chocolate. Wish you weren't, but you are. See your weakness. Don't resent it. That's your number one line of defense. Don't resent. Okay? Now, I also have a meditation. It's called the free meditation, which you can get. And you can learn it in 6 minutes. It helps you to establish that little bit of mental distance. See, so you don't become disgusted, so you don't get angry. See, what we do is we become angry at our anger. We become resentful at our resentfulness. See what I mean? There's always that second emotion. You become angry, and then you resent yourself for being angry, see? Or you resent the anger. So what you need to do is eliminate the second one. So if you're angry, then just see that you're angry, but don't resent yourself. Don't resent it. So just don't resent yourself, okay? That's the most important thing. Don't resent yourself, okay? And don't resent it, okay? That's your main line of defense. Learn to get mental distance. Get the little meditation that I have and stand back and observe, okay? Now, the other thing I want to mention very quickly is sometimes we have this ego, we have an ego, and we think we always have to make something happen. You see? And other people encourage that. They encourage you to set goals, to try harder, strive more. But remember, Adam's fault in the very beginning, what was it? It was ambition. He wanted to be, rather than know God, he wanted to be God. See? And he thought through knowledge he could be like God. It was ambition. So we all have a little bit of that in us. We're always striving and struggling and trying to make something happen. And then we beat ourselves up, figuratively, if we mess up. And then we strive harder. And people are always encouraging that. And at the workplace, they're always doing that too. They want you to do more, to make more money for them, see? So what you have to see is that that's not what God wants. Okay? What he wants is for you to modestly do what the moment requires. Each moment, check with your intuition and move delicately. See? Mostly nothing is required of you other than just to do your duty, to not resent other people, to be fair with people, and so on. That's all that's required. Okay? And so setting a goal to study more, to read more religious books, to do more good deeds. See, any goal gets your ego involved. See, and when your ego is involved, then you struggle and then you become resentful. See, it pulls you into that struggle, resentment cycle again, which we don't want. So stand back, take a mental step back. See, a lot of times we have false guilt because we think, well, I should be doing more here, and I should be doing more there, and I should be doing there. And that's not a real guilt. These obligations, that other people often have laid on you, to manipulated you, see, often. So just go about your business. Take care of your own little bailiwick, your family, of course, your husband, your wife, your children, and other people. Okay, well, you may not have time for them. See, God wants you to be there for your children and for your wife, or for your husband and your children. Okay, and all these other see, people are very good at laying obligations on you, aren't they? They're very good at that. Okay? So you have to learn how to say no. See? But in the past, you haven't been able to say no. You know why? Because you've been resentful. You resented them laying something on you, and then because of the resentment, which is wrong, you felt guilty. And then to assuage guilt, you turned around and did double for them to make up for the guilt. See, and they took advantage of that. So you must learn how to just say no. Sorry, I don't have time. Sorry, it's not my job. Sorry, I can't. Or I've got other things to do. See? Don't feel guilty. As long as you don't resent, you don't have to feel guilty. And you're not obligated to do everything for everybody. Okay? And you're not required to do all kinds of... See, actually study, if you think about it. God wants you to be in the present moment, okay? And like a child. Remember Christ said, let's become like a little child. God wants you to be in the moment like little children are. They see things and they discover things and they learn things. Every day is an adventure, okay? Well, life's supposed to be an adventure. Like Star Trek, okay? A great adventure in God's universe. God wants you to enjoy His universe, because if you do, and at the same time you're cognizant of Him, that He's the Creator, then that's worship. See? You're awed and marvel at His great handiwork, at science and at nature and people. And you marvel at it, and that's worship. That's tantamount to worship. See? But if your nose is buried in a book somewhere, well, you know what that does? It actually can feed pride. You can actually become guilty for studying too much. So do your duty. Be there for your family. Be honest, fair, brave, and kind like a Boy Scout. Always check with your intuition. Practice the meditation if you can. Okay? It's very easy and it'll help you. And go about your business, and maybe one day you'll be ready. Don't hold your breath. Maybe 20, 30, 40 years from now. Remember, Moses wasn't ready until he was 80 years old. Then God will have a little something special for you to do. And it'll be beautiful. And it'll be beautiful because you won't have manipulated, you see, or tried to make it happen. It'll just happen. Okay? My name is Pastor Roland. Thanks for listening in. Be sure to check out the radio program and go to talktoapastor.org. We got podcasts there. You can listen to all the radio programs and watch my YouTube videos.